least of my worries at this time. So I do believe the only one that has a penalty tonight will be the number 8 is Cameron, so did not qualify. Tell them to shut up and let you guys qualify.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, Darlington BNR Xfinity Series elimination race for the first round of the playoffs here in BNR in the Cup Series. Practice, or qualifying, my apologies, underway here this evening. Lots to talk about. And what that is to talk about is the point spread here going into the elimination race. And I believe there is at least maybe 6 competitors from 10th place Caleb Shelton, possibly Caleb Shelton, down to 16th place Cameron Smith. That is the bubble. So, like, 4 drivers are getting eliminated, 16th through 13th, and then the 12 drivers that succeed from that go on to the next round. So basically, Caleb Shelton, maybe, possibly, he could be in the danger zone. Philip Bridgman in 11th, Skylar Sixton 12th, Chris Schaefer in 13th, Tyler Myers 14th, and Jason Pearson 15th, Cameron Smith 16th. So these drivers are on the bubble. It is a very close point spread, from more so from 12th to 16th, with only, I believe, that is, let me do some math real quick. That's only about an 11-point spread, I do believe, or 14 possibly point spread from 16th to 12th. So drivers have to really try to get as many points as they can here this evening that are on this bubble to move forward into the next round. And Darlington, very, very tough place, elimination race, so you have to try your best to get whatever points you can, whether it's leading a lap, leading the most laps if you can, even, winning the race. Winning the race grants the most points you can, and if you can get those bonus points, that adds on to it. It's just going to be trying to stay out of trouble and mistake free to try to get as many points as possible to get into the next round. So qualifying looks to be done. 7 competitors have taken a lap. Chris will run us down the field.
Jamie, how's that new PC? Haha, good deal, man. Good deal. It's going to be a new ball game for you this race.
All right, Sammy, I'm not going to go fully on the way, so I'm going to give these guys some room.
I'm going to be very cautious the first couple laps. I'm not trying to wreck out up here.
Yeah, same here. I'm just going to get through the gears, and then once I get there straight away, I'm going to drop low and let everybody go.
Chris, unfortunately, I believe you are muted. Can't hear you, either on the stream or in Discord, buddy. So, my apologies. Caleb Shelton. Caleb Shelton takes the lead early on as something going on further back. Brock Page. These drivers, these cars, right off the get-go here, we have some ricocheting effects into the wall. Drivers trying to avoid one another, checking up accordions, log jams. That's kind of what might happen on the initial start. Restarts, these cars are kind of ill handling here at Darlington. Caleb Shelton kind of slowly pulling out to a lead here. We have Tiller in second place. That's Bridgman in third. Shelton with a slightly different Pepsi paint scheme this evening. Since it is Darlington, some drivers chose to run a throwback. You're seeing that with the 48, I want to say Archibald perhaps, or no, Brandon Moore in the 47. My apologies. Oh, Phillip has a moment coming out of turn 2. You are very liable to see that with that transition coming through 1 and 2. There is a bump on the exit, right on the exit of turn 2, and just that way the track kind of bumps out of turn 2. It can catch a lot of drivers out, so got to be careful. Looks like some. I don't think some of the playoff drivers on the bubble showed up this evening. So that could be good fortune for the ones that really truly needed it. As more drivers looking like they are getting a Darlington stripe here early on, not even 10 laps in, we have drivers bouncing out of the wall. That is a common occurrence here at Darlington. Very tough track, as they say, too tough to tame. A little bit of a log jam going on at the moment. somebody trying to get around. Who is that? Oh, Philip again with a moment. Like we said, these cars, these drivers, hanging on by the edge of their seat, trying to control these cars here this evening in Darlington. Just how wicked, ill handling they are acting. Surprised we haven't seen more drivers flipping and sliding around. Another Mark Martin Valvoline Eagle one paint scheme. I believe that's Tyler Myers. So more and more Mark Martin. Oh, caution is out. Heavy, heavy damage. Looks like by the 6. Get a replay here. Going into turn 1, he was going to go underneath. I believe that is Josh Small. Yes, indeed, going underneath the 10 car. He had a look-see. Sometimes going into one is a passing opportunity, but only if the car in that outside lane can give you that room, and it very treacherous sometimes to pass. Just a racing deal early on here from the looks of things. I don't want to say, maybe there was a little bit extra space. Josh could have went up, but maybe if he went up further, he would have possibly been at that point in the race out of the group perhaps. So early pit road takers here early on, 10 laps into the race. Kind of pit when you can. You have 6 sets of tires here and 147 laps here this evening, so that equates to 200 miles. And in doing so, that these cars have 70% fuel tanks each and every week in the BNR Cup Series here. So that makes the fuel mileage here about 53 laps this evening. Some drivers could go 54 if we see long enough green flag running. Good possibility we could see some cautions for just self spins or maybe more racing incidences between competitors here. It could become a race of attrition. Darlington races seem to sometimes go that way from time to time. Just of how sometimes the close contact of the racing can be close quarters sometimes, and you're trying to make a pass happen that sometimes that could be a 50-50 deal, especially here at Darlington, where it can sometimes be just a single lane groove from time to time. So that's going to be a lot of heavy damage for Myers to have to overcome, one would have to think. Don't know how much Small is going to have. If anybody remembers the Cup race that happened here in person earlier in the season, I guess springtime maybe, Larson and Ross Chastain kind of got together on one of the late restarts and just trying to get in that kind of lane that you want to be in. And on the restarts, you can kind of pinch guys into the wall, but just 11 laps early in this race I don't think we're getting I think we might be. Yes, indeed, they're doubling up, getting the restart this lap. So, gonna get the restart lap 13, so 12 laps down in the books. Samuel Archibald in that 21, trying to make his presence known. I think Samuel, really good stand-up, honest young driver. If he could overcome a lot of mistakes, he could probably be at the front of a lot more races. So hopefully, Sammy can get those mistakes down to at least a minimum. Like to see him up front running good. Philip Bridgman trying to recover from some slides he had, so was up high as I believe third place at one time, so trying to get back up to where he was. Caleb Shelton with a very excellent launch, and away he goes. So Shelton, if he can be the race leader for the remainder of the night, he's going to keep trying to catch people a little bit off guard. One would probably say in the restart zone, it looks like he's really going to try to go when he can. No tire slip, it looked like for him, that's for sure. Back here, further back, looks like just the drivers trying to get up to speed, give each other some room, and log some laps here possibly. So Archibald's taking second place away from Tiller. Now we do have drivers locked in, as far as I know. I do believe Brock Page is locked in for sure, and Sean Judson, I do believe from their wins in this round of the playoffs in the BNR Cup Series. So, and I want to say there are a couple of other drivers locked in as well on points behind them. So they should be safe for the evening. Like I've already discussed the drivers on the bubble, I will discuss them a little bit further as we go along. So Darlington, very, very awkward shaped track. What I do believe we call turns 3 and 4, what used to be 1 and 2, that got altered because of a minnow pond. So that's kind of why this racetrack has its distinct shape. Another one of the tracks where back in the day used to pit on the front and back stretches. For the inaugural race here, I believe over 60 cars, I believe, started the race. The winner won the race on a tire that was kind of a semi-truck tire at the time, I guess if you want to call it, or a beefy truck tire, but it was also a prototype tire to just see how those types of tires would work on an everyday, I guess you could say, commuter car. And those types of tires held up pretty good for the inaugural race winner. Trying to remember the name, but at the moment it has befumbled me. So, sideways again for Philip, but he caught it. Excellent save. How many more of those can he catch without it? Just at one point, just getting absolutely away from him. So, like I said, got to be careful. Got to try to be at least mistake-free. As long as you don't at least, destroy the car to where it's undrivable and you can get at least some repair done quickly enough to where you don't lose too much time. See back here, Cook in the 29 making a pass on line in the 30, line in the 38 machine. Wanted to double check, so always trying to remember the numbers of all the competitors. Oh, that hard incident there. I think those two competitors, don't know, I believe Cook got loose. Cook got loose in the transition right into two. His car just kicked out. It was just man, it just had one of those hospital hops going through turn two. Just out of nowhere, kicks out from underneath him. And unfortunately, line in the 38, nowhere to go. And that is, man, just very, very unfortunate because Cook in the 29, he was moving. He was making some moves. And wham blam. Thank you, ma'am. That can be the result. Like I said, costly mistakes. Got to be careful. Riding on board Cameron Smith, his point of view, basically looking out through, I guess, the middle of the car. At your moment, though, Tiller keeping Caleb Shelton, I would say honest, only 0.3 of a second back from Shelton. 25 laps into this race. One caution, maybe could have had two there. I think maybe what happened between Cook and Line, myself, could have maybe resulted possibly in a caution. Those cars slowed tremendously, and just what transpired, I don't know. But anywho, that did not, surprisingly, as now we have three cars, might as well say, in the pit/garage area, working on those race cars, trying to repair them, maybe get them back out on the track if possible. Cook had what looked like a good handling car, but man, at any moment, these cars just seem like they can step out. Very uncontrollable, perhaps. Well, yes, indeed, we've seen it, so don't know why I said perhaps, but just unfortunate that the cards have been dealt the way they have for those competitors early on here. Kind of surprised Brock Page isn't up a little bit further. He's 3 1/4 seconds back. But maybe he could just be lurking at the moment, just getting a better feel for the car track at the moment. Just logging laps, so this is the distance of, I do believe, even if the trucks was to race here, I believe this would be the distance of a truck race, I do believe, but for sure the distance of an Xfinity Series race here. Excuse me. And 200 laps around Darlington can kind of go by quickly if there's no cautions. Especially if you have someone like Caleb Shelton or John Tiller, who at the moment setting a decent pace. They are 2 seconds ahead of the next competitor, Samuel Archibald in the 21 machine. Almost kind of looks like a Jeff Gordon Pepsi car, almost. Like a certain color of a Jeff Gordon, like late 90s Bush car, perhaps, early 2000. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting off that paint scheme. But don't really have too many close battles at the moment. Darlington, everybody can kind of get spread out because of maybe just banging the wall down a little bit too much, perhaps. Or everybody just has a different, perhaps, lifting point, especially in 3 and 4, the tighter radius corner of the track. So 1 and 2, you can kind of glide it in there, kind of just work the throttle, perhaps. 3 and 4, you got to be a bit bit more lenient with the throttle. Got to let it roll a bit more. Your lifting point, you're going to be constantly probably backing up the corner. What I mean by that, lifting a lot sooner, almost every lap perhaps, every other lap into turn 3. Wow, what a moment for Archibald there in the 21 machines. That Brock Page got by after that slip slide scrub-a-dub moment from the 21 machine. It's kind of what I talked about earlier with Archibald Flake. He could be a good front runner if he could control his racecraft greatly. Now Brandon Moore is going to be looking by or way by. Cameron Smith, Brian Huntley perhaps could be getting into a duel perhaps at some time, but Brandon Moore, Samuel Archibald, 47-21. This is another close battle besides Tiller kind of stalking the race leader Caleb Shelton. So we do have a couple of battle groups perhaps, if you want to call it that, kind of almost dare to say F1 stylish packs or groups, pairings. Really like when the drivers kind of gear. Oh man, Brandon Moore just kind of clobbered the wall down. But like we say, that's the Darlington stripe. You know, you kind of drag it along a little bit. You go in there, you kiss it. You just barely brush it. So many different ways of kind of trying to attack that high lane, or I guess we kind of say play defense with the wall. So now John Tiller lost that ground that he had, possibly could have wiped down the wall behind Shelton. I don't quite see any right side damage on the 27 machine, so could have just got loose. We've seen a number of competitors just kick sideways tonight, so wouldn't be surprised if that happened to the 27 machine. Brock Page now reeling in Tiller. Brock Page, you know, I'd say for sure he is there, but getting around somebody is a whole nother story sometimes. You can kind of see Tiller left that window of opportunity. If Brock could have got a run there through 3 and 4 that time, but 1 and 2, like I said earlier, can pretty much be a single groove. This whole entire track is kind of single groove. You kind of want to get the pass kind of lined up on the exit of the corner, or maybe if you can have a window of opportunity like that where the driver kind of gives you that outside lane, you can build up that momentum to get a nose there. They might still leave that window open, but now, oh, that so close there. "40 laps into this race, Caleb Shelton has just over a 2-second advantage over these two competitors battling for second place, second and third man, as Brock Page finally gets a good enough run to where Tiller might have just been all right by, you know, kind of lift a little bit more, because might have been a little bit compromised in turn one. So he was like, all right, you're finally fully beside me. All right. I can't keep this battle up no longer, perhaps. So now Brock Page going to try to probably set his sights on Caleb Shelton if he can still have the tire left on that car to run him down. They lost a little bit of time getting side by side, running, amongst each other. So they lost about a second and a half, I would have to say, perhaps, during that engagement. Looking down the scoring sheet, and looking back to the replay here, looks like Archibald getting underneath, doing a slide job, just kind of brushed the wall there trying to complete the pass. So another Darlington stripe. If we had a counter, man, it would be an insane number, probably, perhaps. So I've already kind of lost track early on here how many brushes with the wall I've seen. So next week, still staying with the Carolina theme, being Charlotte next week, doing 200 laps on the oval configuration, not the roval, the oval. So that's another, can be tough track. It can most of the time be single groove. It can be sometimes difficult to get the other lanes to come in, but it can be great racing once they do. Regardless, it can hold some pretty interesting, intriguing, great races. So another replay here: Brandon Moore, John Tiller. So pass for what was that, 4th position? So Brandon Moore moves up, finally trying to get into the top 3. Still has to get back by Samuel Archibald, who Brandon earlier really couldn't quite get by. He was having some problems. So listen here. Philip Bridgman going a lap down just because of the ill handling car that he is struggling with at the moment. Lots of competitors struggling with. He is now coming down to pit, possibly just get another set of tires. Maybe that could help this situation he is kind of having. He's also brushed the wall a couple of times. You can see the right side kind of impacted a little bit. So don't know if he's had a little bit of steering offset, perhaps. Maybe toe might be just a misaligned, perhaps. And if that is the case here, that can cause a lot of heartache. Well, John Tiller in the pits, so he could be short pitting, perhaps, undercutting his opponents. Because I'm not too sure if that was a scheduled stop or not, because of when they were last on or abouts on pit road. We do know that some drivers did not pit. There was a few drivers that decided to come down the pits. Page was one of them, I do believe, and I'm trying to remember who else came down, but here we go, pit stops occurring. So even that caution early on did not really help extend the fuel window. So Caleb Sheldon in, Brock Page, Samuel Archibald, those three. Now getting back up to speed on their out lap for them. Oh, Tyler Myers with more problems as he just got wicked loose coming out of turn 4. Fortunately fenced it in both inside and outside what would be retaining walls, so keeping the cars in the track. Brandon Moore coming in for his scheduled pit stop. Oh, cold tires on what was the race leader who just came in to the pits. This is huge, as Caleb Sheldon, like I said, was the race leader, qualified on pole, and could be possibly one of the drivers on the bubble after having such a pretty stout season leading into the playoffs. Brock Page might have a bit of front end damage because Brock kind of clipped him as he came back down across the track, but just huge wreck by the 73 machine. Cold tires possibly, and like I said, he had just came out the pits with Brock Page. They were getting those tires up to temp. That was, I want to say, the out lap, getting up to speed with those fresh tires, and just that treacherous spot coming through turn 2 caught out that 73 machine of Shelton just surprisingly out of nowhere, like we have seen a little bit earlier. Just unbelievable. Brock Page now with a little bit similar nose front end damage like he had, what was it, last week perhaps, I think, or it might have been Dega. I'm trying to remember. I think it was last week he had similar front end damage. But this pit cycle is still not over with, because I want to say Smith, Huntley, and Pearson came down pit road with the first caution that we had, and they were actually able to extend their fuel mileage here compared to the other drivers that came in earlier. That is, just 7 laps ago or so. Pearson now making a stop. Huntley and Smith now last left to pit. Small and Page, I want to say for sure Small and Page started the pit cycle along with Tiller. So Tiller, be interesting to see. I don't know if the undercut, that how much of an undercut that Tiller did. I don't think that kind of helped him, but he was kind of falling off pretty massively right before he pitted. So obviously Tiller had some really good short run to almost, I would say, medium run pace, and then Like I said, don't know if the car just jumped loose from him or maybe he banged the wall too hard. Lost that ground to Shelton at the time, fell into the clutches of just about everybody else. I think fell down to about 5th or 6th before the cycle of pit stops occurred. He's going to cycle out at the moment to be in 4th position. As Huntley, the last one left to pit. He's really getting all he can. Oh, he missed pit road. The number 4 driver, Brian Huntley, missed pit road. Very easy to do. Way down at the bottom of the track, flat of the track, and you're trying to slow down from that average mile per hour, about 150, I believe, in the corners. 140. Oh, sliding. Philip Bridgman again out of treacherous turn number 2, catching the 48 driver again. Caution is out. Those tires could obviously be flat spotted by the 48, just getting out of control. Got to see possibly who this helps. Well, this helps the top 6, and it's going to trap. It's going to trap Smith, Sixton. Definitely not going to help Philip. Philip was 2 laps down at that moment. He probably could have got one of those laps back when Brian pitted, but unfortunately, Philip was the cause of the caution, so this gives Caleb Shelton now extra time to possibly repair that car under caution and hopefully won't lose too much more ground. Cook and Line, the 29 and 38 machines out of the race, it says. So 14 drivers, or excuse me, 12 drivers left in competition. Chris Campbell, 18 laps down. Well, Chris, my lovely silent producer for the evening, I'm not sure if you have a case of laryngitis or what's going on this evening, but possibly could we pull in Brandon Moore or Brock Page and get their thoughts of the race currently so far, if you don't mind, sir?
Off the corner.
Hey, Brock.
What's up?
Hey, Will in the booth. How you doing this evening, first off?
I think I'm doing pretty good. I was a little hot a minute ago, but then it wasn't too bad. I kind of didn't want to fix it, but rather be safe than sorry.
Sheldon just had a moment. Do you think there was a case of cold tires trying to get them up to temp, and just the mixture of just how the cars are handling?
Yeah, they're really, really slick. I mean,
it looks very treacherous out there.
It is, especially at a 2. That's the worst spot. But yeah, he just had cold tires, and I probably could have missed him. It just happened too fast, and I didn't want to make an evasive move on the steering wheel and spin myself out. So I was just kind of like just hoping for the best at that point. And it tightened the car up, which kind of helped it. That's why I mean, like, I didn't really want to fix it, but my water temp was getting high, so I kind of needed to.
Well, looks like you're going back green. We are 65 laps into this race. What are you looking forward to the rest of the race?
I'm looking forward to the bathroom after this race.
Oh, okay. Well, best of luck to all of that. Good luck, Brock. We'll get you back down there. Well, thank you, Chris, for pulling Brock in, getting that cane around his neck, dragging him in. So, this caution truly helped out Brian Huntley. He is going to still be the race leader. And Archibald right there. Some of these drivers just facing different conditions, difficult conditions. Green flag back out in the air, back underway here. Brock getting a very good jump from that third place spot. Like I've talked previously in the past, kind of feel like third place has a good, can get a good jump with the race leader or a good start if he can time it right. So surprisingly enough, talked to Brian Huntley. He did not expect it all to be up front. He was not expecting it all to be around the front. He thought, man, it's Darlington. You know me, Will. I'm not good at Darlington, he said, leading up into the race. And sometimes, you know, you just got to take the mentality of showing up, trying to do as good as you can. Side-by-side battle. Brock Page looking to the inside. Nothing to do there as Archibald gets alongside on the outside of Page. Page now, unfortunately, losing a couple of positions. That was a costly move to try to venture down and pass the Brian Mobile. Brian kind of did some defensive driving, kind of pinched Brock a little bit down. The replay of Archibald and Tiller getting by. Kind of throw a blanket over the top five here as Archibald looks to the inside, making a move on Huntley. Is he going to be able to slide it up? Yes, he can. So Archibald takes the lead here. I want to say is the fifth different leader, or fourth, possibly fourth. I think fourth at the moment. Oh, Tiller sideways, but he saves it. Going to cost him a lot of ground, though. Treacherous turn number 2 this evening. That's where we've seen a lot of the incidents, a lot of the slides happen. So 8 cars on the lead lap, and we will run down the 8 cars. Samuel Archibald, currently the leader, being stalked just all over the place by Brian Huntley. Kind of maybe wants the lead back or just, all right, Sam, you lead a little bit. And now, under fire by Brock Page. Brock Page there in the 36 Castrol machine. Trying, oh man. You get so far down the track, you eventually still have to come up to the banking, because banking fastest way around the track, you could most certainly run down to the flat. That's where everybody ran back in the day. The banking was to be a slow down measure, just in case someone lost control, lost the brakes, or mechanical failure happened. You had the banking in theory to slow you down, but later on, it wasn't until a couple of drivers started driving around the banking to figure out, hey, this is faster. But anyway, back down the running order. Brock Page trying to make some moves that he can, as Tiller, or excuse me, Brandon Moore, just sitting there comfortably, just watching everything unfold from a good 4th position there. Looks to be comfortable. Then John Tiller sliding, baseball sliding, 5th place car. And then Jason Pearson in the 82 in 6th position. Cameron Smith in 7th in the 8 machine. And Josh Small in the number 10, last car on the lead lap in 8th place. Philip Bridgman 2 laps down in 9th. Skylar Sixton 3 laps down in 10th in the 99. Caleb Shelton 11 laps down after his incident in treacherous turn 2. Just outright, caught him outright. 11 laps down in 11th place. Don't know what happened to Chris Campbell. And 19 laps down in 12th. And Tyler Myers, he's been in the wars. So 43 laps down, but still logging some laps, trying to get more lap time at Darlington. 75 laps into this race, like I said, man, if they can get in a groove, start logging laps, knocking them down, that is what they will do. Oh, Brandon Moore gets by Brian Huntley as well. So look for Brandon Moore possibly to try to run down Brock if Brandon has anything whatsoever for the win here tonight. I think he might have to go through Brock to get it. Archibald at the moment in the lead of this race, but being hunted down by Brock Page in that 36 machine. Once they probably start racing, depending on how long they race for, that could bring Brandon Moore into the fold. They could be a 3-horse race. I do expect these drivers to at least have to make one more pit stop. Trying to figure out when that could be. Chris, can you throw the stint graphic up so we could see the stint length and maybe get a feel for when they might have to pit? There we go. That is, if it stays green. You know, anything can happen. It's motorsport. It's kind of iRacing. You know, we've seen the treacherous turn 2 catch out. So Archibald 50 laps, 53 for Brian, 43, 41, and they are currently 17 laps into this stint, I do believe. So now Brock Page, most certainly there. We can, thank you for popping up the stint graphic, Chris. We can do away with it now. I want to say around lap 110 maybe? 120 perhaps? Around 110 to 120. If it stays green, we should see the drivers making a pit stop, the final scheduled pit stop, as Brock Page got around Samuel Archibald. Sammy got loose out of turn 4 and gave Brock Page that window or door of opportunity, swung wide open, as Brandon Moore now looking to get by the 21 machine. Brandon Moore, very self-paced racer, so probably still trying to conserve what he can for the final few laps of this stint, of this run, to get all he can get. He still has, first and second. They're still on the same straightaway. They are definitely still within reason. Oh, man, Archibald fought back, got back by Brock Page. Brock was like, okay, if you want back by, possibly kind of looked like, all right, I'll let you back by. Then Brock fighting back a little bit. Good tussle here between Archibald and Brock. Oh, as I say that, almost could have been disaster for Archibald and possibly Page. So, but now Brandon Moore ever so closer to the front of the field. Brock Page to the inside of the 21 machine. Got to watch out. Could be tragedy. Could be treacherous. Like I said earlier, looking to be a 3-horse race. It's turned into that 3-horse race. First, second, and third right here. All within a half a second of one another. Down to probably maybe 3/10. So, very, very good heated battle here at Darlington BNR Cup Series. Final race of the first round, so elimination race here at Darlington. As the drivers approaching Phillip yet again in the 48, so gotta think perhaps that Bridgman for sure could be good if he can just walk out of here with a top 10 finish perhaps. And like I said, I do believe some of a couple of those bubble drivers I do believe didn't show up this evening, so going to work in his favor. More than likely, if you are a member of the BNR Discord or BNR Racing League, I do believe it is on Facebook. Might have to look and see there perhaps maybe for the points, or maybe just have to wait till next week when we come on the air and give you the next round of 12 drivers battling for the next round. Oh no, Archibald and Moore get together. Archibald got loose coming off of turn 2, treacherous turn 2 this evening, and slid back up the track, up into Brandon Moore, nowhere to go, but looks like they both able to recover, but that is hampered for sure Brandon Moore's progress of trying to be up front, matching Brock Page's pace. So unless Brock Page keeps slipping and sliding, perhaps, maybe, which we haven't seen him do too much, but we do know it's possible for everybody to do it. Everybody can surely make mistakes here tonight. And man, Brandon Moore, that could have been a whole lot more of a disastrous wreck. Archibald so loose again. John Tiller almost nowhere to go in that regards. Almost could have been very, very badly. Just don't know how Archibald is still able to hang on to that car, man. He's been wrecking loose so many times. John Tiller takes position away from Archibald, so John Tiller back up into third place. Now Archibald under attack. Brian Huntley. Brian Huntley completes the pass successfully. Huntley in the fourth position. As the iRacing camera doesn't know if it wants to stay connected to Brandon Moore or not. See any close battles with lead lap cars at the moment? Seems like everybody is kind of spread out once again. I think Moore could have been there for sure, if not for almost getting into Archibald. So Brandon Moore being 2.5 seconds back from Brock Page at the moment, kind of not really of his own doing, just checking up, making sure he did not, him and Archibald didn't make more serious contact than it could have been. Looks like Brandon is actually taking a 10th or so out of Brock Page, maybe a 10th, maybe 2. So could be slowly reeling him in. Did Brock Page just lag out or something? Something happened to Brock? I guess something happened to Brock. Looks like Samuel Archibald trying to kind of short pit, it looks like. Maybe we are definitely, I do believe, in the window of it being you could pit from here and make it perhaps. But another question would be, probably would the tires like it? So 46 laps to go. Something happened with Brock Page that very unfortunate. Don't know what done happen with Brock. Says he's 2 laps down, so I guess he got reconnected. Brock would sure love to see a couple of cautions perhaps, so I think I was off by the pit guesstimation. It should have probably been like lap 100 to 110 probably. I think I said 110 to 120. Man, the stunt graphic kind of looks kind of lying to us there. about those numbers. Kind of. I don't know if I want to trust the stint graphic right now. Looks kind of janky. Don't know another word to describe it. That like quick glimpse here that we. Oh, okay. No, it looks a bit. I guess that's. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, could most definitely see. Okay, so 110. Yeah, for like Moore and Tiller, Huntley. I think Smith pitted. I want to say. Think that might have been unscheduled, perhaps, from Smith. So 5 cars on the lead lap. Like I said, something happened to Brock Page. He's 2 laps down. Brandon Moore, John Tiller, Brian Huntley, Jason Pearson, Josh Small. That is the 5 competitors on the lead lap currently. 40 laps to go in this race. Expect to see the final 5 cars make their last scheduled pit stop in the next handful of laps or so. Josh Small probably in danger of going a lap down in a couple of seconds to Brandon Moore. That would make it 4 cars on the lead lap. It's not in danger or territory of like Ned Jarrett domination at Darlington, but I want to say Ned Jarrett won a race here by 17 laps, 11 laps. It was some number like that back in the 60s. So there you can see kind of the gap going from the start finish into turn 1 to first, second, then third. Now looks like Jason Pearson making scheduled pit stop. He could start bringing third, second, and first down. So just have to wait and see. Who is that? Looks like Josh. I think that's Josh. Yes, indeed, Josh. That is right in front of the leader. Had a moment coming out of turn number 4. So not just turn 2 being treacherous, but also turn number 4. Like I said earlier, gotta be careful, gotta watch out. Almost like that one Christmas song about Santa Claus, I guess, coming to town. But anywho, Brandon Moore making his final scheduled pit stop of the evening, bringing his Ford Mustang 47 Valvoline car down to pit road. That's going to put John Tiller in the lead. Maybe after this cycle of pit stops, we can do a crank it up portion right on board for a few laps and then get back with you all once in the closing laps of the race. I know it's already kind of the closing laps, but I know we haven't taken the time yet to do our little crank it up section. So once the cycle of pit stops have completed, looks like they will be completed in just a moment because Huntley is in pit road, I do believe. No, he's not. Okay, my bad. That was Tiller that came down pits. I don't know how I could mistake the two, but I did. Oh, Brian! treacherous turn 2. Looks like Brian got a bit tight and just whammed the right front into the wall. So just now closing in on what would that be, 30? No, yeah, so closing in on 30 laps to go. I want to say 2 cautions this evening. Or was it 3? Might have been 2. Well, after Brian completely missed pit road earlier in the green flag cycle, he for sure made sure backed up that pit road entry tenfold and got down to the inside into the pits right where you need to. Josh Small still out on circuit, so he's going to try get a point for lap lead if he hadn't done that already. I don't think he had. So once Josh comes down pit road, we should have Pearson back on the lead lap, perhaps, maybe. But depending on how much longer Josh stays out here, I don't think, because he was getting lapped when the pit cycle kind of started, or before Brandon Moore came down to the pit. So him staying out this long, or like he has, he's really hoping, praying for a caution like what Brian Hunt got earlier. It kind of fell into his lap like that, the way the flags have fallen. But Josh, I don't think going to get that caution that he's so desperately trying to need. But bringing it down pit road now for his scheduled pit stop. You know, if only Brock Page could get a caution right now, that would be the greatest thing for Brock ever, I think. But man, anything can happen. I don't want to say it won't happen, but don't know how long. Perhaps Brian will stay a lap down. He does have the fresh tires, so don't know if he is going to be able to get his lap back or what have you. So take a quick pause in the action now that the pit cycle is complete here, and do a little onboard and crank it up here with the wall rides and everything. And I will be right back in just a moment. Enjoy the crank it up, everybody. All right, and we are back. Hopefully, kind of guessed, 20 laps to go. I gave it a pretty good, a good stint there of the crank it up portion. So hopefully everybody enjoyed listening to, hearing the cars, getting able to dive into the corner, the lifting, getting back into the throttle, the nice roaring of these next gen engines. They do sound pretty good, I would have to say. I don't particularly like the way they sound whenever they are muffled. There was a couple of races where they have ran mufflers on these cars. The Coliseum races and the Chicago Street Course, I do believe they have ran mufflers. Like, they sound all right, but not as beefy, I guess you could say. But anyway, Brandon Moore in control of this race with less than 20 laps to go, 18 laps to go now remaining in this race. John Tiller is in second place, 11 and a half seconds back. Jason Pearson, 26 seconds back. He is the next car to kind of be in that danger zone, I like to say, of going a lap down. He's about 4 seconds, give or take 5 seconds. Let's give it 5 of going a lap down. This race could end with only 2 cars on the lead lap unless John Tiller has some type of big moment and kind of like a Caleb Shelton moment earlier in the race and just destroys his car here late in the going and yeah, then Brandon Moore just laps the entire field possibly. But still, nevertheless, this has been, I think, a pretty good Darlington race. I was expecting 4 or 5 cautions. We probably should have seen 4 or 5 cautions just on a couple of different incidences or maybe just things that we saw that maybe could have warranted a caution, but iRacing just sometimes is like, nah, so gotta go along with it. Anywho, it's been, I think, an awe-inspiring race because there's been moments like the Caleb Shelton moment going through turn 2 on cold-ish tires, trying, like, he had just came out the pits. Him and Brock Page just pitted. They came out, and man, he had a moment and just wasn't expecting it because you kind of expected Caleb Shelton to kind of come into this race and I wouldn't say dominate, but be up front, be running up there at the front, and if not leading laps, be in the top 3 at least. But that turned out to eventually not be the case, and just one of those Darlington moments, man. I don't really know what else you could kind of say or call it. Brock Page, though, if we was to get a caution in the final 14 laps of this race, Brock Page would be the first car to receive that lucky dog, and he is the only car 1 lap down now, thanks to the passing of Brandon Moore on Josh Small, getting by him again. So like I said, next week, Charlotte Motor Speedway, 200 laps there for 200 laps. That's a 300-mile race, I do believe. So that's a length of a Busch Series race. I think I just saw Skylar Sigston delete himself. He had a huge moment with the outside retaining wall. I think it was Skylar. I think he's the only purple car. Could have been somebody else. I guess if it wasn't Skylar, I saw like a fender fly off the car, but could have just been him blinking at the moment. Just the way it unfolded there. I think it was just his blinking, possibly. So rough scare for me in the booth. No, he is missing a right side. He did clobber the wall at one point. So, all right, I did see correctly. I'm not going insane. So Tiller somehow took a second away, but still in the closing laps, 10 laps to go. That's definitely not going to be enough here this evening to ink into that tremendous lead that Brandon Moore has. Brandon Moore kind of, I don't want to say the race fell into his lap after what happened to Brock Page, but, you know, it's kind of been his race after Brock Page's, I'm going to say maybe lag out, because he did kind of, for sure lag out, and then he was able to reconnect. So good on the iRacing platform that if event occurs, you know, you can join back into the session. So that's a cool feature, even though you might be in a position that you were kind of abandoned, or well not abandoned, but just out of contention. There we go. Has anybody ever had, I'm fairly sure they have, just a pesky cat that won't leave them alone? That's what I'm dealing with at the moment, and they, man, they're just, anywho, very consistent cat. So Pearson only about 2-3 seconds away from that lap being lost. I'm pretty sure everybody's goal, for the most part, would, if you come to Darlington, may be, for most people, I just want to finish on the lead lap. And for others, it would just be, I just want to finish the race. So, you know, I don't think Pearson's going to put up too much of a fight, because he may know the pace that Brandon is, and he also the race leader. Oh man, excuse me, sorry. Bit of a hurt there. Anywho, about to be 5 laps to go in this race. Brandon Moore comfortably the race leader. Very unfortunate. Like I said, I keep harping back to Brock Page lagging out or getting disconnected. Whatever transpired to happen to Brock, he looked to have possibly the winning car, class of the field, perhaps. Once he got out in clean air and got away. So. Brandon Moore coming through 3 and 4 to take 3 laps to go. This has been a BNR Xfinity Series 200 from Darlington. Elimination race in the chase, or playoffs, or however you like to word it. I guess multiple words for the same form. When you see that Valvoline paint scheme, it just harkens back. It just makes you think of Mark Martin, all those years that Mark Martin ran this exact Valvoline paint scheme. Very dominant. What year was it? The 98 year or the 99 year with Jeff Gordon? They both, I believe, had 10 wins, or Mark had 9 or 8. Jeff had 10. So But Mark Martin had so many dominant years with Roush, just never was able to get a championship. But Valvoline colors on the 47 here at Darlington tonight. Brandon Moore, final time through 3 and 4, taking the checkered flag here this evening. Huge win for Brandon Moore. John Tiller going to come home second place, it looks like. Yes, he does. Pearson doesn't get lapped by Brandon Moore. That's going to be the final podium finisher and the final driver on the lead lap. Running order, rundown, summary of the end of the race, real quick from here. So you have Brandon Moore, John Tiller, Jason Pearson, Brock Page, Brian Hunley, 5th place, Josh Mull, 6th, Cameron Smith in 7th, Skyler 6th and 8th, Philip Bridgman, like I said, gets that top 10 that he possibly could have needed to secure his way in to the next round. Caleb Shelton, 10th, comes back to get a 10th place after that incident he had. Chris Campbell, Samuel Archibald, and Tyler Myers, Timothy Cook, and Nathan Line, unfortunately, did not finish the race. 14th and 15th, respectfully, though. And we will get the podium finishers down here in just a moment, everybody, so hang tight.
Hello?
Hello, Brock.
Howdy, fellas.
Howdy. I guess we don't have 3rd place, possibly, or maybe 2nd. So, hey, possibly interviewing you instead here. So, good filler. Brock Page here this evening. Everybody. Yeah, did you lag out?
Yes, I did. And then I almost did it again, like with 10 to go.
Like you having some storms? Or
Nope. Just charter being charter.
Oh, okay. Just Yep. That. Anywho, so if it wouldn't have been for that, you think Brandon would have been able to run you down? Because he had a moment of just, I guess you could say, kind of grief. And he kind of fell 2.5 seconds back from you. You had opened up a lead on him, and then all of a sudden, ploop, you lagged out, right? And I thought, man, this is kind of Brock's, like, before you lagged out, I'm like, man, Brock's race to lose. And unfortunately, lag out occurred, but we kind of got your first impressions of the race. But overall, like, I thought, man, what was it? Only 2 cautions, right, Brock? 2?
Yeah, I was hoping for one more.
Yeah, like there was kind of maybe 1 or 2 incidences on track that could have brought caution, but I think iRacing was just like, nah, brah. But yeah, I kind of feel for you. Like, man, that would have been spicy because, like, you would have got your lap back. You were, Josh Maul had fallen 2 laps down. You were the only car 1 lap down. You would have probably gotten it back if you wouldn't have been said caution. And it would have been one heck of a race between, everybody, all, there. But altogether, pretty good Darlington race. I'm glad you thought so too, even though you had that unfortunate lag out. But sometimes it just happens to the best of us, man. You just unfortunate. Next week is Charlotte on the oval, not the roval.
Thank
So,
God.
but it's 200 laps, so half the distance of the regular. Anyway, so basically an Xfinity length race, but kind of single groove. Sometimes you can get multiple grooves going at Charlotte, but it can be kind of rare. But going into Charlotte, what is your goals? Because that is the round of 12. The best 12 are in points, etc. Brock, go into next week. It's a fresh round. You're gonna try to strike and win there at Charlotte. Like what is the goal mentality?
The mentality is do the same thing we did at Dover, just maintain and be there when it counts the most. I like Charlotte. I like to think I'm good at Charlotte, but it's always the ones that you think you're going to do well at that you get crashed
Exactly.
or something happens.
Yes.
Like this track here, I was like, I don't know. And I never run good here. So I was, you know what? I was like, I'll just do what I can and try to keep it straight. And at times it got frustrating dealing with the other cars on the track.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very bad problem in this league of when someone lets another car go, it doesn't get returned. So that is not happening anymore out of the 36 car. Other than that, it was a fun race. It's just that is irritating because it's so hard to pass here that
Right.
someone just giving you position, you should be like, okay, I owe him one later, especially when you're in somebody down from 2 seconds back. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to stop complaining about that. But
No.
yeah, I mean, it was fun up until I lagged out, and I wasn't going to come back, and then I was like, you know what? I need as many points as I can going into the next round just in case something happens. And then I got back in there, and I was only like 2 laps down, and they were in the middle of a cycle. I was like, oh man, if I get this just right and we get a caution late, I could be good. But I'll still take a 4th place finish.
Thanks. Thanks, Brock, for talking to us. Good top 5 finish, like you said. Got any final thoughts or shout outs there?
Shout out to you guys as always. Shout out to Brian. He goes through a lot trying to get these done, and I know how hard it is to maintain a steady, solid league. I'm running one of my own on Tuesdays, and it's not as easy as everybody thinks.
Oh no, it is. It's extremely
really
hard.
difficult to keep a crowd, especially right now in the playoffs. I have the utmost respect for the guys that aren't in the playoffs that are still showing up, because most of them don't.
Exactly. once it gets to the playoffs, some drivers are just like, oh, I'm not in contention, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, okay, I've had my thrill, but some of them, man, like they are loyal and they show up, and it's great, and you love to see it, and you just wish that everybody, you want to keep like it. It's tough because a lot of leagues have that playoff, kind of thing now. Ever since they started doing it, and I think that's kind of gets to like a deterrent sometimes, but half one way, a dozen other, Brock, so.
Yeah. But no, I mean, other than that, I don't really have any other shout outs. Congrats to Brandon. He drove a good race. He said that he didn't really feel like he earned that one, but hey, that's part of racing on here. You're going to have moments like that, and hopefully that isn't a reoccurring thing. I'm going to have to call Charter tomorrow and be like, look, could you do me a solid and not do maintenance on Saturday night?
Right. That's got to be very well. I know it is very frustrating, either flagging out because of internet or lights go out. Well, I've had it all kind of happen to me. So, anyway, thanks for talking to us, Brock. I tend to ramble sometimes and
Oh, man,
just
you're
love
good.
to talk to the drivers. But thanks for talking to us. Like I said, congratulations on the top 5, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week as well.
Yeah, hopefully I'm the first one getting interviewed as the winner, but we'll see.
Well, good luck.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Brandon Moore, race winner here this evening. Brandon, just tell us about your race. We saw you struggle a little bit here and there, but pretty much everybody was. It kind of looked like you had the same kind of Brandon Moore tactic. Just take it easy early going in each stint, and then, attack when you think you need to. And that's what you did tonight. You're probably your most fierce competitor, Brock Page. He had a lag out or disconnect, whatever you would like to word it. But just give us your thoughts and your point of view, your summary of the race, real quick, Brandon, if you don't mind, please, sir.
Yeah, this whole race was a handful, as everybody at home seen. I don't know what kind of changes that they made on the setup as far as like the fixed one that iRacing had there, but yeah, it was loose, never tightened up. But yeah, you really had to be patient, wait for the moves to come to you, and then I kind of just wanted to wait for mistakes from other people and just kind of cruise on by. Uh, and again, I hate it for Brock. Brock was running a really good race, and he, like you said, he had a lag out there, and I wish we could have raced for this one, and it probably would have been a little bit more fun. But overall, I think everybody did pretty good considering how loose the cars were. Didn't have too many cautions, so pretty good racing.
Yes, indeed. Next week, Charlotte. It 200 laps around the oval configuration, not the roval. And just, like I kind of said to Brock, we were having that conversation about Charlotte. Charlotte can normally just be that single groove track. And with these next gen cars, each track has its own characteristics, its own hand, just, but normally on the mile and a half, these next gen cars seem to be pretty stable and good. So Charlotte can provide some good racing. So, what's your thoughts? What's your mindset going into next week?
Charlotte's always a fun place to go. I pretty much like running Charlotte in just about any car. So, main thing is just, similar to what I say most weeks, keeping the tires on it. Don't overdrive the car. Got to keep the front end turning. If you lose, start overdriving it early and you lose that corner entry, you're going to lose all that corner off speed. So just got to manage the tires and then make smart decisions and be there at the end for it. But it should be a fun race.
Yes, I expect it to be. I almost wouldn't want to say a barn burner, but just from previous races in the past at Charlotte, it can be. I hope it to be spicy at least, Brandon.
Yeah, I like some spiciness. Not as spicy as Darlington was. This car was a little spicy, but
Oh, for sure. Yes, they did look a handful.
yeah, instead of ghost pepper spicy, we'll just stick with jalapeno spicy. I think that would be a good comparison.
Well, Brandon, any final thoughts, any shout outs, anything else you'd like to add about tonight's race, or just anything else? Like, just by the way, thanks for talking to us after the race as well.
Oh yeah, no problem. As always, just want to thank everyone who came out to put on a show for the folks at home. Thank everybody who came out to watch. Want to thank everybody in the booth. Everybody always does a good job in the booth, providing entertainment for the people at home, and hopefully we can carry some momentum into next week and maybe make it two in a row. But hopefully we'll shoot for a podium.
Well, best of luck to you going forward and also next week, round of 12 into the next round of the next 3 races of the BNR Cup Series playoffs, Brandon. So best of luck to you, and hopefully we're talking to you next week.
Alrighty, that sounds good. Thank you all. Have a good night.
You too. Well, everybody, that's going to fortunately do it for me and Chris here this evening. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, showing up, rooting on your favorite driver, and just cheering everybody on tonight at Darlington. And also looking forward to next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That's always a fun place to hopefully look forward to a great race. Anywho, until then, me and Chris would like to wish you guys a safe and wonderful good night.